Hello, USA. It's just me, and as you know, I'm nobody, just an American, and this is Just an American Moment. This is the podcast where we ask the questions the mainstream media won't ask, and we provide the answers and solutions the political class either can't or won't. Folks, there is an invasion taking place in our country, and our media doesn't want to talk about it, nor does our political class. These are not migrants coming here for a better way of life any longer. These are barbarians entering our country. They come here to undermine the principles of our nation. They come here to plunder our coffers, and they come here to abuse our laws. Instead, the media would have you believe that our border agents are whipping innocent immigrants at the border. Obviously, they've never heard of crowd control, and you've all seen the photos, so you know there's a crowding situation. You know that the situation is out of control. But let's face it, the media have proven themselves to fundamentally be morons. Why don't we transfer all 14,000 plus of these so-called migrants and their encampments to Washington, D.C.? Why don't we let them defecate in the bushes there? Why don't we let them set tents up on all the main streets in D.C.? Why don't we let them fill up the hospitals so people in the D.C. area can't get in the hospitals? No, I've got a better idea. Let's put them in Wilmington, Delaware, and then let's see what the reaction is. Small little Wilmington. Wouldn't they let 14,000 new residents participate in the voter polls? You know how it is. Anyhow, we have had illegals from more than 150 nations show up on our Texas border and beyond. These people have not been tested. They have not been vaccinated. And to suggest that COVID alone is the only disease that we should be apprehensive about is a real concern, because these people are coming from places where other diseases run rampant. I keep hearing about the poor Haitians. The poor Haitians. They had a hurricane there. Well, most of these Haitians have been living in South America for a considerable amount of time. And I also have a question. Are the only poor Haitians men of working age? Because that's what we're seeing on the border. We're not seeing all the mothers and the babies and the sisters and the brothers and all the small children. Not at all. These are all working age men. So what's the deal? Don't you ask yourself sometimes what the agenda is of these politicians who are allowing this? I mean, seriously, why, when we have a legal immigration in this process in this country, which takes in over 1 million legal immigrants a year, do the Leninist Dems and the media encourage this invasion? Why? I'd like to know. Biden, Pelosi, McConnell, Schumer, and many of the others who allow this to be happening for such a long time. They're going to be dead by the time this nation feels that impact. So they're not going to know what they've done. But it is disastrous. Do they want to assure that there's a lifetime underclass that's going to take care of their families, their elite? And then there are those who try to suggest this is racial. Bullshit. Pardon my French. I'm tired of the race card. This is not about race at all. I love immigrants, legal immigrants from all nations. Anyone who can contribute to make this a better nation is worth having here. So the racial card is bull, but it's typical tactic of the left. Oh, we don't want them here because they're from Latin America, they're from Africa, they're from Asia. That's a bunch of crap, and it's just a deflection of the truth. It's not racial at all, folks. This is about economics and about a legal process. So I'll ask some of the questions that the politicians and the media are afraid to ask. And let me know what you think. What value do these people bring to our country? For them to become Americans, they should bring some value, shouldn't they? How will the influx of illegal and there's that word again, aliens, make this a better nation. How? I'd like to know. How will it improve the lives of your children and grandchildren? What's their contribution? What's going to make your grandchildren and your children grow up in a better country? What is the actual cost? These numbers get buried. Something I've complained about quite a bit on this podcast. The numbers just get buried, and we never know what the cost is. And who's making money? Because I guarantee you, someone is making money on this deal. And what will be the impact on the communities where these people are deposited? They're transported out from the border towns in the dark of night. Why? And distributed around America. No testing, no vaccines, no background checks. They're just picked up and moved. Buses, planes, whatever. But they'll be in your community tomorrow. Do you know who they are? Do you want them walking your streets? Think about it. You know, I have lived and worked around the world. And I've got to tell you, there are people in India, in Bangladesh, on the African continent, on the Asian continent, literally on every continent, who are in far greater need than these people who are showing up on our border, who are really showing up for the most part for economic reasons. Should we allow them all in? How many can we take in this country? What's a good number? Somebody tell me. What is a good number? We let 1 million in a year now. Should we let in 2 million? Should we let in 5 million? Should we let in 10 million? And where should we put them? And what jobs are there going to be for them? We're moving forward in technology where you don't need as many people for hand labor any longer. What, is it going to make everyone feel good because now you've got maids working in your local Motel 6 who are from Nigeria or from India or some other godforsaken place in the world? I don't think so. You know, like I said, I'm in favor of it. You know, I help people who are desiring to become American citizens go through the citizenship process. And I know what it takes and what they have to put up with, and sometimes the legal costs associated with it. And now we think people could just walk across our border and become Americans? I don't think so. You know, I devoted an entire chapter in my book to this. I call it Stranger in a Strange Land. In this chapter, I talk about the immigration problem. I talk about DACA. I offer clear, concise solutions to this problem. I offer solutions that I guarantee you nobody, just an American, could find acceptable. But you know who won't find them acceptable? The politicians, because their agenda is different than your agenda and my agenda. But they're common sense solutions. The immigration process in this country has become so politicized that the entire system has been corrupted and bastardized. That's the simple truth. Unfortunately, folks, I have to blame you, the American people, if you continue to put these so-called powerful people back into office on a regular basis. These people are not motivated by helping America. They're motivated by their own self-interest. The interests of the American people are secondary to them. The seat that they hold in the government, that's what's important to them. These are politicians who are advocates of Leninist doctrine because they believe they will be the ones in power. And all evidence points in that direction. And God knows, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, far from it. But that's what it's all about. Take a look who's in power. Take a look at how many years they've been there. Has things gotten better? The standard question. You've been doing the same thing for 50 years. How's it been working out for you? Obviously not very good. You know who they are. Vote them out. And with that, I'd like to read a quote from my book that was originally done by Teddy Roosevelt. But I think it's so pertinent, and maybe we all ought to be reminded. Teddy Roosevelt says, in the first place, we should insist that if the immigrant who comes here in good faith becomes an American and assimilates himself to us, he shall be treated on an exact equality with everyone else, for it is an outrage to discriminate against any such man because of his creed or his birthplace or his origin. But this is predicated upon the person's becoming in every facet an American and nothing but an American. There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he is an American but something else also isn't an American at all. We have room for but one language here, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is the loyalty to the American people. You think all those people coming in believe in that doctrine? You believe the people supporting them believe in that doctrine? I don't think so. That's my rant for the day. Do me a favor. I'm not a big shot. I'm nobody, just an American. I sell my books in 2s and 3s. It'd be nice to sell a few more because I'm not making any money here, folks. But I think the message is one many Americans, no matter what your political persuasion, can believe. Thanks very much.